It's the season of giving with Giving Tuesday upon us. Let's talk about that on the next Something More with Chris Boyd.
Welcome to Something More with Chris Boyd. Chris Boyd is a certified financial planner practitioner and senior vice president and financial advisor at Wealth Enhancement Group, one of the nation's largest registered investment advisors. We call it Something More because we'd like to talk not only about those important dollar and cents issues, but also the quality of life issues that make the money matters matter. Here he is, your fulfillment facilitator, your partner in prosperity, advising clients on Cape Cod and across the country. Here's your host, J. Christopher Boyd.
Welcome, everyone, for another episode of Something More with Chris Boyd. I'm here with Jeff Perry. We are both of the AMR team with Wealth Enhancement, and glad you are with us. It is now officially the holiday season. I love this time of year. Everyone, I think most people love this time of year. There's a lot to enjoy about taking time for gratitude. We start to focus on the holidays in December and a season of giving that implies. The kickoff, Black Friday, purchasing season, and Small Business Saturday, Cyber Monday.
Yep.
All of these things are this time of year, and Tuesday represents Giving Tuesday. Think of those, considerations, particularly those small businesses on Saturday, Small Business Saturday, important,
and throughout the holiday season. This is
makes a difference. If you like being able to go into stores,
yep,
you got to help them, support them too, right?
Absolutely. Just stop in and might get a new idea.
But I thought we would talk a little bit about charitable giving. I often like to talk about this time of year. We've often had on friends at this time of year from local nonprofits, the Cape Cod Foundation, the United Way of Cape Cod, Housing Assistance Corporation, Red Cross, all of these and many others, that this is that time of year when people start to think about their charitable endeavors. Nonprofits rely on money to keep them going all year long. But it seems that as we think as consumers or, individuals, we think about our tax return, we kind of have that extra push at the end of the year to say, I got to I'm meaning to, who else did I want to give some money to this before the year's over?
That's right. Yeah.
It tends to be this time of year that we think about that. While everyone else was trying to get in on the consumption stage of things this time of year, Giving Tuesday became a marketed term for charitable entities. Instead of waiting until the last few days of the year when people kind of get those checks out, they started thinking, hey, maybe we can encourage people to do it in December a little earlier than they might have otherwise. So, it turns out that only about 10% of U.S. taxpayers currently itemize and therefore can deduct their charitable contributions. However,
that's right.
You want to take it from there?
Well, this year we have a new charitable deduction.
Does it start this year or next year, Jeff? I was thinking it's 26, but I'm not sure. I think, but with the One Big Beautiful Bill, there is this new opportunity. But
no.
Last I saw it was next year.
Nope, it is for this 2025 tax year.
Oh, good.
Yep.
So you can do what?
Oh, you know what? Maybe I'm wrong. Charitable donations are deductible if you itemize, which is, always been the case.
Yes. And we can talk about that more in just a second, itemizing.
The special, as you mentioned, above the line deduction for non-itemized does not apply to the 2026 tax year. Ladies and gentlemen, this is another example when I think Chris Boyd is wrong and he's actually right.
Well, this is something new, and it's like, when does it apply? Pretty much everything else with the One Big Beautiful Bill seems to have been implemented immediately, so that's why, right? In any case, what can happen if I want to give some charitable giving? About, is it 1,000 for an individual, 2,000 for?
It is. Yeah. This is next year we're talking about.
for next year, you'll have the opportunity to give that and get the deduction in addition to all the other, benefits that are happening with regard to standard deduction. And there's some, seniors get some extra benefits and so forth. In any case, this year, though, to qualify for deducting your charitable giving, you need to have, I think you have to, is this also this year? You have to exceed the 0.5%. Is that next year as well? I think that's next year as well. So you have to basically exceed a certain
That is next year. Yeah.
where you have to do a certain amount that makes it worth it to do for this year. It's just you could bundle, right, a number of your charitable giving to exceed the standard deduction and make it worth doing. Next year, what's going to happen is you have to not only do that, but you'd have to at least have passed a 0.5%.
Yep.
And if you're in the top tax bracket, there's a limitation of how much you get to include in your charitable giving. So it's a little more complex next year for those who might be thinking about doing this bundling strategy. This year might be a good year to bring forward some of that, particularly people in the high tax brackets, bring forward some of that charitable giving so that you can, all of it can qualify as charitable deduction. And you can benefit from that as again, you want to do an amount that would exceed your standard deduction. Otherwise, you're going to be better off to take the standard deduction. A little confusing, but in any case, so rules are in flux this year. Better to bundle if you're thinking of doing that kind of thing.
Definitely better to bundle, especially if it's been a high tax year for you and maybe you're creeping into a higher tax bracket. And the point of additional comment on the standard deduction or the itemizing, it's not just exceeding the standard deduction with charitable donations. It may be a year that you have other deductions, maybe, so the property taxes and all those things. But maybe this was a unique year for you where you had a large number of healthcare.
Dental implants, hearing aids, hospital stays, all these variables, right?
Money, things that you had to pay out of pocket, not covered. So, in the unique case that you have those and you do charitable giving, bundling could be very beneficial.
So, we've just kind of articulated the idea that this is going to get a little more complex as time passes.
It doesn't get simpler, does it?
No. True. And it can even be complicated in terms of what you give can affect some of the variables that are part of the considerations. So in any case, let's talk generally, though. Not everyone is worrying about these issues. They're just thinking, I want to give something to charitable intentions, and it'd be nice if I get a tax benefit too. But if you are thinking about this as a tax planning opportunity, it's worth talking to your tax advisor. It's worth talking to your financial planner and helping you kind of navigate a couple of things. One is, how much is enough that I get to do more deduction than my standard deduction, right? Kind of work into that number. Number one. Number two, maybe think a little bit about what you give. So if I give cash, that's one possibility, right?
Yeah.
But maybe instead it would make sense to give appreciated stock or real estate or, some asset that's appreciated over time. If I keep that asset and someday want to use it to spend for my needs,
right,
I have a capital gains exposure. If I give that appreciated asset, let's just as an example, I bought a stock, the XYZ stock.
Yep.
I own this company, I have these shares of this company, and it's gone up from $10 a share to $100 a share. I did great. Um, Now I've got a lot of embedded capital gain in that. If I sell it, I've got $90 of capital gains I need to deal with. And that means, 15, 20% is going to the federal government
Yep.
and something to the state. And if your state taxes on capital gains. So, let's say 20% of that is going to
Hmm.
taxes. Well, if I give that appreciated my XYZ stock or some number of shares, whatever, however much I want to give to my church, charity, nonprofit of
Hmm.
choice, um, they receive it at the market value. I get the deduction. It counts toward me,
Hmm.
toward my, if I want to deduct, it counts as um, $90 or I mean $100 in that case, right? Of charitable giving.
Sure.
Um, they get the opportunity to take that money in full, turn around and sell it. They don't pay a capital gains tax the way you or I would. So they can benefit from that in full without any tax consequence. I've avoided a capital gain. And in the process, I can be thinking about some potential for, do I have some tax deduction possibilities? What do you think of that?
I think it makes a lot of sense, especially if you were making this donation anyway. If you were about to support something or make some major contribution and you have this stock, why not avoid the capital gains if you're already giving it?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I think that's the game plan, right? Um, Now, the idea of bundling, sometimes I don't necessarily know who I want to give all my
Hmm.
funds to. I just want to draw those charitable deductions sooner to kind of bring it forward. As we said, the rules are changing next year. Maybe I want to do that sooner. A donor advised fund could also be a tool that could be utilized. Give thought to that. If you need help finding out how to do that, again, we can be a resource, as can um, other organizations like the Cape Cod Foundation, Fidelity, Schwab. All these
Right.
have charitable entities, but um, you can work with your financial advisor to maybe have them continue to invest your funds inside of that. They're not yours anymore, but you can still you have the discretion to advise about what happens to those resources, what charitable intentions they go toward. um, but you can work with your financial advisor to keep it invested for a time
Hmm.
and still grow until you're ready to either give principal or earnings or whatever it is you decide is the preferred choice. You can treat it kind of like a mini foundation.
Yeah, that's right.
Um,
I think a lot of people do that, and a lot of people include their family members in this, and it can really be an opportunity to not only be generous and get a tax deduction all at once, um, but it can also be an opportunity to in, instill your values and your lessons to your family by including them in this fund. And it's not super complicated to set up with these.
no, not at all. I agree. And that's one of the things I really love about it is, we talk about legacy a lot. And oftentimes when we do that, we're talking about um, uh, material
Yeah, money.
wealth,
Right.
things,
Right.
stuff. But when in reality, for most people, the legacy they want to leave is more than stuff. It's values, it's priorities, it's people. It's life lessons. It's a variety of things, right?
Hmm.
And this can be part of that passing on of values to, let's say, for example,
Hmm.
you have grandchildren
Yep.
and their formative years. Maybe they're, um, you know, not yet teenagers, maybe teenagers, something like that. Could be even younger. But the idea of saying, "Oh, so we think it's important to help others, and I want you to help us make a decision. how will we help others? We could help them, people who are homeless. We could help people who are hungry. We could help people with scholarship. We could help support the arts. Whatever it might be, things that you could say, what do they value, right? Draw in family, but the idea of saying, hey, we think this is an important thing to do, not just to grow our own wealth, but to help other people. And as a family, that's a value to us, kind of a thing.
Right.
And so here's how we work it. And then there's some money lessons in that. Well, we're not going to just give it all away, because we want it to last. We want to help people over time, not just once. So, okay, we're going to take a percentage of what we have here. How do we go about that? Things like that, and explain how to think about money a little bit, maybe in the process. Maybe there's some discussion about what's happening with that money when it's not being given. What's happening to it? Is it invested?
Right.
I don't know. You get the idea that there could be some life lessons in that process, and some values sharing, and what you prioritize as to what's of value to you to be giving funds to, can be an opportunity to share with the next generation. Not always easy, though, I will tell you, Jeff. Not everyone, I've had these conversations with family about my sister's charitable fund, and it's kind of like, well, you're dealing with it, thanks. More so than everybody wants to contribute an idea. Of course, you don't want there to be tension. Well, I think we should do this, and I think we should do that. But everyone's very accommodating, I guess. But I would love for people to be a little more like, I was thinking, what do you think if we did this, and gather support around an idea. But,
I had a friend in Sandwich he's passed, that's why I'm saying was.
yeah.
He was an attorney, and he had his own, he set it up through Fidelity, and he did this family thing. And what he did was, I think there were 4 family members. I don't remember the makeup of them, and himself and his wife. So there were 5. So each family member was encouraged to, he shared the same sentiment. That's what reminded me of him. Was encouraged to submit a name, or an organization, I should say, each year. And the group would make these recommendations, but the grandparents, I guess, the people that I knew, and his wife would decide where the money goes. But even if, say, you were one of the grandkids, even if your choice didn't win the day, they still contributed $1,000 to any nomination. So there was everyone had not only a say in it.
That's a nice way to do it. So there was at least some that went to the losers of the decision. Oh, I like that. Thanks for sharing that. I might steal that idea.
So that was a method that he created to have that engagement, so people show up and have not just a voice, but really feel like, well, even if they don't pick it, I'm going to get to make a donation to my charity for $1,000.
That's a great point. Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Hey, it's also worth thinking about when you do give to, like, whether it's stock or cash, there may be differences in how that is treated, for how much gets considered, how much relative to your AGI is eligible for that deduction. So I'm speaking lingo. So if you give a gift to charitable intentions, and you give cash, up to 60% of your adjusted gross income, which is a line item on your tax return. You can see that right on your front page of your tax return. Can be used for this purpose of a deduction. Okay. But if you give property or stocks, it's usually less. And how much might differ from one year to the next. So, talk to tax planner, talk to your financial advisor what the rule is this year. So we'll leave it kind of abstract like that. But and it may be different for different kinds of holdings. So, so again, these are some nuanced rules that kind of factor in before you just say, "Oh, that's going to work." You
Yeah,
gotta
here's
listen.
$10 million.
Yeah, yeah. If only, right? When you win the lottery this week, Jeff, you hear there's a big lottery. I know I'm sure you have your tickets.
Well, I don't buy the tickets, but my wife is part of a social group, and they have a pool going.
Oh, there you go.
Yep.
There you go. So I was going to say, I was sure you didn't have tickets in the lottery, but
At least it does.
at least it does. So you still have
I'm exposed to the opportunity.
You have $1, you have a dream. I guess it's $2. You have a dream.
Actually, it's for this group. It's $10.
$10. Okay.
$10 each. I told her. I did the math. It's a week, so there's like 2 drawings, so whatever it is.
Yeah.
I did the math, and I said, "So this is $520 a year, And she looked at me like, I know.
Yeah. Just go with it, right?
Yep. Oh, I'm fine with it. I just
like
to do some math once in a while.
No, it's a good point. Like I think you have to think of it as it's just for fun, and it's if you're okay with money spent, right? 'Cause, we sometimes jokingly refer to it as the voluntary stupidity tax, but we still pay that tax pretty routinely when there's a fun jackpot like that. But
well, somebody wins, so it's not impossible.
We're doing our share to help somebody.
Yeah.
Well, so going back to Giving Tuesday, I was curious. Do you have the same charitable interests every year? Do you find, or do you do different things? Well, how do you handle things?
Well, we have certain ones that we support every year. Like we have a list of things that we like to support, and with just regular donors. But things come along, right?
Yeah, you get asked by friends or someone who's involved in a program, and you say, "Oh, sure."
I got asked this morning by the way, our dog sitter sent presumably all her clients. Her son is in the Civil Air Patrol. He's in high school and all this, and he is raising money for Wreaths Across America for a particular cemetery near their house, and they're gonna, the squadron.
What a worthy cause! Yeah,
right. Yeah. The squadron's going to lay the wreaths, and
squadron of the Civil Air Patrol.
That's right. Okay. So that her son is in. He's a fine young man, and of course, right? Like, of course,
of course. I have I had a high school classmate who was really engaged in the Civil Air Patrol. And I think he became a state trooper. I think I had 2, and one definitely went into the military as well. So
I'm sure the statistics are very high for people who go into some type of military or
law enforcement
or I'm sure it is. Or something.
Yeah.
If you're willing as a 16-year-old to march around in a uniform, I think you're inclined to.
You're on a path, right? Yeah. There might be a trajectory there.
Yeah.
What else?
Do you have certain ones? I know you
have. Like just there. I named a few of them just that with who we've had on the show. I have a few others that I give modest amounts to every year, and just there's probably about 10 or 12 that we routinely do something for, and then you have stuff throughout the year that people ask or whatever as well. But there's really a handful that we give meaningfully to, and then the others we just do a little bit to support, But I think the thing I tend to do, and I would encourage people not to do, is put it off to the last week of the year. You're in that last, trying to squeeze things in, to sending out checks, or these days doing it online. But I think it's kind of thing that a little bit of forethought is probably helpful, because you can be more deliberate and not as, oh gosh, I meant to, which is what I'm doing this year, trying to be a little more intentional, because so I can plan it out. And I as I say, we kind of have a routine, so it's not
sure.
It's not a big shock, but just like to do it. We give to my sister's charitable fund routinely. As I said, we try to think in themes, homelessness. Uh, I think of the United Way as something that does a variety of things, so it hits a
Catch-all,
lot of catch-all. The Red Cross I think of as sort of the urgent, if someone suddenly has a need. Um, and the Cape Cod Foundation is more of a like thematic, like long term, like investment kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So I like some of what they do. And then we kind of have changed up the food insecurity, the hungry.
I think that one has, the hunger issue has really been
Even
highlighted because of the food prices and then the government shutdown. So, yeah, we're happy to support our local Treasure Coast Food Bank. They do great work, and so
well,
it's all about what's in your heart.
I think those are all the things that drive us. What speaks to you,
Right.
and what will be impactful in your community. Those are the things you like to think about. So
I hate to say this, but be careful too. Make sure you know who you're donating to. If it's the one that you always do and you're writing a check and you feel, I'm not saying to get paranoid about it, but if you're thinking about doing something new or you get a link or something that someone just texts you, be vigilant in investigating it to make sure it is really what you think it is. Or maybe if you get a text link, it's time to donate to the Red Cross and you do it every year, that's I support that, but maybe go to the Red Cross website yourself.
Yeah.
And because there is a lot of scams out there related to charity.
Be careful. You got to be
So
careful.
be very careful. But it's certainly
You don't
something
just
we should also
click on the link in an email or something, right?
That's right. Just be vigilant. Just be sure that you're doing what you intended to do when your money gets where it's supposed to go. So we talked about, Chris, Black Friday, Small Business Saturday, football on Sunday. We didn't talk about that. That's
We
fine.
didn't talk about that. Yeah.
Cyber Monday, Giving Tuesday. Do you know there's a new one coming for Wednesday?
What's Wednesday now?
Weeping Wednesday. You're broke.
You made that up, but I like that.
I did not make that up. When you said let's talk about this, I Googled it and I asked Gemini,
pretty accurate
AI, and it said,
yes.
While there's no widely recognized shopping or charitable name for Wednesday, there is a growing trend of people calling it Weeping Wednesday, referring to the day after you've been giving money to all these different places.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it. That's why you want to do this in the context of your financial plan. The perfect segue there. If you need help in any aspects, as we're saying, some of these have complicated rules and the rules are in flux as we talk about the one big beautiful bill, what applies in 2025, maybe different in 26. If you need help, and if you're thinking about qualified charitable distributions, you really might want to be thinking about that for 2026, which applies only if you're 70 and a half and older and have an IRA or an inherited IRA. That's when you try to think about dealing with the qualified charitable distribution before you've taken your RMDs, preferably, so it reduces how much you have to take.
Your financial planner.
Talk to your financial planner, engage them, your tax advisor, of course. And if we can be a resource to you, we're always here. Thank you for being with us today. Until next time, keep striving for something more.
Thank you for listening to Something More with Chris Boyd. Call us for help, whether it's for financial planning or portfolio management, insurance concerns, or those quality of life issues that make the money matters matter. Whatever's on your mind, visit us at somethingmorewithchrisboyd.com or call us toll free at 866-771-8901. Or send us your questions to amr-info@wealthenhancement.com. You're listening to Something More with Chris Boyd Financial Talk Show. Wealth Enhancement Advisory Services and J. Christopher Boyd provide investment advice on an individual basis to clients only. Proper advice depends on a complete analysis of all facts and circumstances. The information given on this program is general financial comments and cannot be relied upon as pertaining to your specific situation. Wealth Enhancement Group cannot guarantee that using the information from this show will generate profits or ensure freedom from loss. Listeners should consult their own financial advisors or conduct their own due diligence before making any financial decisions.